Most people can pick up a new character, open their command list, and input a couple moves. Let's talk about when it starts to get a little bit more difficult. But before we do, if you enjoy this video or any ones you might have seen on this channel in the past, please consider subscribing. I'd like to hit 5,000 by the end of the year. If you've played any amount of fighting games, or if you can understand what the command list is telling you to do, doing things like this are not what you're concerned with when you're picking up a new character eventually, right? When you're first starting out, of course, you pick up the game, you see the command list, and you're like, wow, these are weird looking things. What do these arrows tell me to do? Why is this one a swirl? And you might start using the thumbstick and doing weird shit, but eventually you figure it out. Eventually you figure out that, hey, in this game, most inputs are only going to be quarter circle forward or quarter circle back or a DP motion, or if I'm playing charge, it's either going to be down up or back forward. And once you figure that out, you start to be able to pick up any character and get moves to come out at least, right? You understand that, hey, if I do this motion, probably going to be a fireball. If I do a DP, probably going to be a dragon punch. And once you pass that stage, you start to realize the harder part about learning these characters, because I can do this, of course, from across the screen, but then I can do this, and hey, my opponent's blocking it and they're punishing me for it. So how do I use this? How do I get into it? And then you start pressing your normals. Your normals help you get into your specials. And then you start to learn, hey, this chains into that, and maybe this will chain into this. And hey, how come whenever I put in some directions and a button, things change? Like this button is not always this button. Maybe I want to press back in it, or maybe I press forward in this. What's that? And you start to delve deeper and deeper into your character and learn about command normals and target combos and these tools that you have to use to get into the special moves that you learned about in your first week. And that's when the hardest part of learning a character starts, for me at least, right? Because then you have to get into the spacing. You start to think about, hey, this is my medium kick, and that's not going to reach from here, but this is my heavy punch, and it'll reach from here. So you have to think about the spacing that you're at and the button that you need to press, and then you have to think about, in neutral, your opponent is not going to be standing still. So how do I take my space up so that these buttons will reach and not whiff while not taking damage for walking up myself? And a lot of the times, some characters have buttons that you can tell are very good neutral tools, right? So think about Karen's stand medium kick, for example, is a very good poke. Cammy's stand medium kick. And on Rose, I would say like the scarf. This is a really powerful button. So sometimes I like to play in this range. Or maybe I want to play a little bit closer, maybe poke with this. This, however, this is a Rose-specific issue that I have. This button is -6 on block, right? For its forward medium kick. I don't know why. I don't understand the design behind it, because it doesn't go into anything else. And this is her standard medium kick. It doesn't move forward. I mean, it barely moves anywhere, right? So I don't understand why this has to be -6, but that's a Rose-specific grievance. But now that I know that this is not a good neutral tool, right, at least in my opinion, and this kind of is, maybe I'll play at this range sometimes, or maybe I'll play at the, stand heavy punch range. And then it starts to become, well, maybe I don't want to press this button anymore this close because he's just going to jump and I'm going to get crossed up. So maybe I move forward and play with this button a little bit more, or maybe I press this button a little bit more. And this is sort of when I started to learn more about pokes versus like confirmable buttons, like buttons like this that confirm into something. And I talked a little bit about this in that video with Rolly Legs that I made, or he sort of talked about it, I guess. And he told me that when I play, a lot of the time, I'm trying to get a combo off of every button, which is a good way to think about it, but that's not the most effective way to play, right? Sometimes you just need to poke, and that's what these buttons are for, is to poke. This is, it doesn't go very far. I don't think it's a very good poke, but nonetheless, it is a poke. And so is this, because they don't combo anything, but they give you good damage, and they sort of give you good spacing, right? They give you an idea of where you need to be. Not every hit has to confirm into a combo, right? Not everything has to be converted. Taking these little bits of damage when you can get them based on, whatever character you're playing. So like I said, Cammy stand medium kick, Karen stand medium kick. Those are good pokes. It's good to get a little bit of damage. And what it's really good for is to see how your opponent reacts. So this is Karen's stand medium kick. And in neutral, I like to press it a lot and check on what the opponent is doing. This is something that was taught to me by a few of my friends, or a few of my higher level friends. They said the reason that you use these pokes a lot is not to always get damage, it's to gauge the opponent's interest and to see what they do after they block this. Because you might hit them once or twice, but if you keep doing it, obviously they're going to block it. And usually after they block it, maybe once or twice, I'll go low, and that'll hit a lot of the times. But other times, if you're playing somebody who's actually paying attention to what you're doing, they'll maybe walk in and out. They'll walk in and out of your range to make it whiff. They might whiff punish you. You saw that a lot in the video with Punk. I made a video where I played Punk in the Karen Mirror a long time ago, back in the CPT qualifier for West Coast, before the Midwest region came out. I think it was last year. And he did that to me a few times, and nobody had ever really done that to me, especially in the mirror. But Karen has the walk speed to do so. So seeing how your opponent reacts to this, whether they walk back, whether they walk forward, right? Maybe they want to take their space after they block this, or if they just stand still, or if they jump, you know, gauging what your opponent does after something crucial like stand medium kick is very important. And I definitely have the issue where I just mindlessly put this out there sometimes and don't really pay attention. I'm playing on autopilot, and you have to sort of break that habit. I think the general perception of people who don't play fighting games or who are new to them is that the hard part about these games is the combos and putting in special moves and stuff. But I can tell you that is not the case, right? The hardest part is using these normals that the game gives you effectively to get into these special moves, right? That's the hard part. It's not inputting things, and it's not doing links and combos and stuff like that. Obviously, some games you play it will be hard, but those things can be practiced and honed in training mode. Learning about neutral can only be truly experienced by playing the game and playing another human and getting the shit beat out of you for however long it takes for you to understand that you can't press this button in this range, or hey, if you whiff this, you're going to get whiff punished. It's learning through experience, and it's learning by just pressing a lot of buttons and figuring out how you want to get into those combos that you're honing on. Basically, if I had to sum it up, I'd say your normals will make or break how good you are to character, not your combos, and not how well you can input like special moves. Execution is important, but at the end of the day, if you can't convert into anything, you're going to get 0 damage. You're going to lose to a Chun-Li doing stand fierce all day. And I know there's people in the comments who shuddered thinking about that because it's happened to you. They know players like that, and players at lower ranks don't know how to play against buttons like that. They don't know how to play against somebody who has good spacing, who doesn't whiff, and who isn't just doing super negative moves in their face. If you go through the rank system of whatever game you're playing, not worrying about wins and more worrying about how you're using your normals, how you're converting into your combos, how your neutral is looking, you'll make it a lot further than most people. And when I say focusing on your neutral, I mean, like, are you converting off of hits? Are you getting the hits? Are you spacing yourself right? Are you whiffing buttons? Just because people aren't whiff punishing you at your level doesn't mean you can whiff the button. Don't get that mixed up, right? Things that you're doing are probably whiff punishable. You're just not being whiff punished for it because you're not quite at the level where people are doing that yet. But make it a habit to not whiff. That's another thing I had a problem with, right? I would play through like the bronze, the silver, the gold ranks, and then I would play against my really high level friends, and I'd whiff buttons like crazy, and I'd just get punished until I realized, like, hey, if I don't want to get whiff punished, just don't whiff. Learn about your normals, learn about your spacing, and make sure that you're not whiffing too many buttons in neutral. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing, and thank you so much for watching.